This is the Dan Levator Show with the Stugotz podcast.
I promise you nothing good today.
Oh.
This show is broken. This show is hungover. Stugotz just spent a 19-minute segment pooping.
Yep, my day has begun.
For everything. He was never here. He had to leave because just everything he put into his system last night was polluted. And Amin El-Hassan's here. His eyes look like brake lights. The season's over. We're all in a little bit of mourning. The season's over. Kevin Durant hit that shot. Kevin Durant, this was, to me, the most amazing moment of our watch party last night. The most amazing moment is, you've heard historic basketball calls in real time. We will at some point get you the sound of consummate professional Mike Breen, who also looks like a 1950s soda jerk. I'm sure his call of this dagger was impeccable. But Stugotz's call in real time last night, if you were watching this game with us, you noticed that Amin was terrible because he's just, I don't know what happened to him, but he was in the penalty box all night, never found a rhythm. Can't find a rhythm that way. You got to get in the game and play some.
Tough day yesterday for Amin.
So Stugotz had the call in real time. We all know Kevin Durant is good. I don't want you to lose sight of what I'm about to say, which is in the history of the sport, no one like that has ever existed. The ability to do that from there, it's like watching Will Chamberlain do it. It's just weird. And so he joins what's already the best team in the league. Amin, if he can get out of his hangover haze, will tell you shortly that he believes the 2016 Warriors would smoke these Warriors. That's the good sports radio conversation. But here is Stugotz in real time. This happened live. We're all watching it together. Kevin Durant ends the season with a shot. Look at how fast Stugotz pivots.
Durant top of the key.
Oh, my God. Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Or that.
I mean, are you kidding me? Come on,
Doesn't count.
We're going to replay. It doesn't
Still
count.
106 to 103, 100. In fact, if I subtract all his points, the Cavs have blown him out.
Doesn't count in his personal record book. That pivot is idiot genius. Like, you can't do it better than that. Just as soon as he's making the shot, Stugotz pivots to that. In my personal record book, that does not count. Listen, this is amazing to have happen in real time.
Durant top of the key.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Or that.
You got to be kidding me.
Or that.
I mean, are you kidding me? Come on,
Doesn't count.
I'm still at what? What did I just see? What is this? And Stugotz is like, nope, erase it from the memory book.
Doesn't count.
It's a staggering pivot.
Yeah.
My favorite part is the double down on, and as a matter of fact, if you subtract all his points,
Right, then he starts
Yeah,
doing
Cavs are
math.
blowing them
Yes,
out.
that's right. That's
Not
right.
enough just to take away the basket.
We're going to replay. It doesn't
Still
count.
106 to 103, 100. In fact, if I subtract all his points, the Cavs have blown him out.
Mike, imagine this, though. Imagine our theory is that this kind of commentary should replace the broadcasters in some places, that we should have, options on a menu for your sporting event. What do you want? Do you want traditional? Do you want stupid? Do you want, stupid plus this?
Doesn't count.
Yes. Do you want that?
I thought I was traditional, Ida.
But the amazing ability of the mighty Stugotz to discredit Kevin Durant before the ball has gotten through the net. That's an amazing level of hatred.
Dan, he's just ruined the NBA. I don't hate Kevin Durant. I know how talented Kevin Durant is. It's just like he's ruined the NBA. He has. I'm sorry. It's not competitive. It's one team.
But we all knew before the season that the championship was going to be between Golden State and Houston. We saw it play out, and we saw the championship. It was a great championship. It was a great championship round. They took them 7 games. They got pushed.
Let me ask you this question. So we've played 3 games in the finals. Warriors have won all 3. Only one was a blowout, though. Does that mean it's not competitive? You got 2 games that came down the wire. That's not competitive?
Yeah, but competitive isn't what you're going for. Like, I understand.
You can't determine competitive after the fact. Oh, it wasn't competitive. Why? Oh, because they won. Competitive is while you're watching it. Did you doubt who would win?
Yeah, you could still be there today if J.R. Smith remembers the score.
I mean, Cleveland radio's got to be littered right now with, it could easily be 2-1 Cavs. Easily.
Yeah.
And to me, that's competitive. It ends in a sweep. This series was competitive because unless game 4 is a stinker. But if it's more like game 1 and 3, man, that's all we can ask for. Compelling games.
What about Amin's theory, though, that the 2016 Warriors would wipe the floor with these Warriors? You usually don't get to do these dynasty conversations in real time as they're happening before the series has even ended. But what Amin is saying is the team that won 73 games and did not win the championship played a flawless form of basketball, unprecedented in nature that entire season. Amin is basically arguing that he'd take that team with Harrison Barnes over this team with Kevin Durant.
The irony of this argument is many of the people who will side with, what are you, crazy? Kevin Durant's team would definitely beat them. Kevin Durant's better than Harrison Barnes. Ipso facto, 2018 would watch 2016. These are the same people who I think are all about team eye test over team stats. But in fact, what they're doing is look at on paper, look at this roster, look at that roster. Of course, 2018's better. But the eye test would actually tell you, no, 2016 is way better because they play like a team. They're deeper, they're more disciplined, and they had that killer instinct every single night.
Well, what he's saying there, Mike, is interesting because if we're comparing greatness of teams, you can't tell me that this team, like that 2016 team, when you got that 2016 team's attention, when they were down 10 with 4 minutes left in the game, you knew they were coming. And the opponent knew they were coming. This team isn't like that. This team does not have those. They're down 10 with 4 minutes left. Look out, here they come anyway. You don't think they're going to lose. What's happening there? Is that all eye test?
It's got to be eye test because I'm sure they have most of the players and they've just had Kevin Durant. I also think Amin's kind of forgetting just how thoroughly unimpressive Golden State was when they won that title.
They didn't win the title.
They didn't win the title.
The year
I'm talking about the year they didn't win the title.
73 was.
No, yeah, he is saying that the team that was great during the regular season and collapsed at the end because Steph Curry's ankle wasn't right would smoke this team.
But here's the problem with this team, right? Mm-hmm. They're going to win a championship. They're not even playing that well. Like, yeah, Curry and Clay, they didn't have a big game last night, and they won by 8 points on the road in Cleveland against the game's best player. Like, that's the problem. I think if this Golden State team is fully engaged and they play that team, which is impossible because they're all on basically it's Barnes and Durant. Basically play a game of one-on-one with Barnes and Durant. Who's going to win that? I think this team would smoke that team.
Okay, this team started JaVale McGee in a finals game. That team started Andrew Bogut. This team's bringing Nick Young off the bench. That team was bringing off guys like Leandro Barbosa. I mean, it was a deeper team and a way more disciplined defensively team. And I just think that the biggest thing is they were bought into the style of play, which is unguardable. Right. And this one, you got this weird dynamic of, well, are we an ISO team? Are we not an ISO
I'm in on this conversation with Amin because I believe that 73-win Warrior team that did not win the championship to be the best team of basketball players I've ever seen.
This is really next level stuff. So we're beyond any teams right now in the NBA giving them a run for their money outside of what Houston just did. Only the Warriors can be the Warriors,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Right. Yes, only the 2016 Warriors. Here's the beauty of a professional radio call with a dagger, Kevin Durant, basically cementing his second straight championship that doesn't count according to Stugotz's personal record book. Here is the proper and righteous ESPN NBA call.
Now Hood picks him up on the switch. Shot clock at 5. Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers! Kevin Durant from downtown. It's a 6-point game.
That is professional. That is iconic. That will echo through the ages as Kevin Durant's legacy. That is not how we covered it.
Durant top of the K3.
Oh, my God. Oh,
or
you
that.
gotta be kidding me.
Or that.
I mean, are you kidding me? Come on,
Doesn't count.
It doesn't count. We're going to replay. It doesn't
Still
count.
106 to 103, 100. In fact, if I subtract all his points, the Cavs have blown him out.
Mike, can you imagine? Can you imagine if someone was getting only their information from our feed and just sound? How confused they would be by the roar, the confusion, and then doesn't count. You're thinking, what, was it waved off? Was it waved off? Did it come after the shot clock? No, it doesn't count because Stugotz is keeping track in a personal record book.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person. Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
You're announcing that you will not announce that they are a good team until they've won back-to-back.
Yeah.
But because you are taking away all of Kevin Durant's championships in your personal record book,
right,
you are never allowing him to win them back-to-back, even if they win them back-to-back, thus securing that you never have to identify them as a great team.
Correct.
Stugotz.
I hate when I wander around in your head and see all the empty spaces and the tumbleweed blown around in it.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
The show is hungover today. We did a watch party last night. It was a rousing success. Got a whole lot of applause. But we're hungover today. As a show, we're hurting. And so during the break, Mike Ryan is swooning, talking about how beautiful the Cleveland Browns are, how Josh Gordon looks so put together right now that between him and Njoku, like they are just simply beautiful. They are muscles on top of muscles, and Josh Gordon hasn't played for years, and his body is just physical perfection. But while this is happening, Stugotz is looking around and saying, Dan, I don't know when I wrote this or why I wrote it, but I took this in my notes last night, and it's just really hard not to like LeBron.
I mean, it's nearly impossible, Dan. Like, I'm trying to not like LeBron James, but that man is so impressive, so thoughtful, so caring, so genuine. Like, in that moment last night, he's down 3-0. We just lost at home, and it was genuine. The way he was talking about how happy he was for Rodney Hood, he was so happy for him. It was so genuine, and just the way he, compliments the Warriors and Kevin Durant, and man, he's a tough, and then all the stuff he does off the court, he's just a tough person not to like. It's impossible. I defy someone to not like LeBron James. Because, listen, no one wants to not like him more than I do, and I love the man. I really do. He's just such a decent human being.
You don't love him. 2 days ago, you were talking about how bad his leadership was and that he was a diva in the huddle because J.R. Smith forgot the score.
I didn't love him then, but today I do. I mean, and listen, it can be both. I don't have to like his leadership because his leadership was terrible. It was a disaster the final 4 seconds. You can't do that. That's not what you do when you're the best player in the world. You don't do that, but he can be a poor leader and a great person.
Okay, now let's just move the conversation here for a second because I'm disoriented. Stugotz might not be yet to the hangover. He just might be a drunk still.
Yeah.
But we've got a delicate situation on our hands here. And Mike Ryan is an exceptional producer. He showed that off during the recent commercial break. Even though we're all broken around here, his hair looks like the hair of a 90-year-old person. Just based on the last 12 hours. It's crazed. His face looks like it's broken. But this is what happened during the break. I go to Mike, and we're looking, and there is TMZ video. TMZ video of Kevin Durant after the game last night, and this hasn't gone the way Kevin Durant wants. It has on the scoreboard. It hasn't in public opinion because a lot of people are doing what Stugotz is doing. He's walking to the car, and somebody's just calling him names about how you're not as good as LeBron. And then, and Kevin Durant just keeps walking and keeps walking. And then a guy yells, cheese butt. Now, in 2018, I don't know what to do with this because we're going to head down this path. And you know why Mike's a good producer? I'm about to tell you why. I'm like, cheese butt. What's the problem with cheese butt? That's kind of funny. It sounds like a ridiculously cartoon, nothing. Why would Kevin Durant react to that? And then as I'm coming back to do a cheese butt segment, Mike Ryan says, let me check Urban Dictionary. Now that is very wise by Mike because, we keep him around here at least in part because he can help us with these things. He's got a black in my day. We sometimes need his help sometimes because we don't know the Urban Dictionary language.
Buddy, that ain't urban. That's Suburban Dictionary.
Okay. I don't know what happened. But regardless, cheese butt seemed very gentle until Mike started looking about.
I was laughing and trying to process what had happened. Why is Kevin Durant so angry?
Why is he flipping out at this phrase?
Something else must be going on here. So I said, let's check out Urban Dictionary. And after checking out Urban Dictionary, I understand.
Somewhat.
I still, you know what? I still don't understand.
Maybe, kind of, but you don't.
I still don't understand Kevin Durant working himself up to the point where he needs to be separated from somebody because of this. I mean, sports fans say all sorts of mean things. This is in Cleveland. You just ended probably their time with LeBron.
But this isn't, as a symbol, whether it's cheese butt or not, as a symbol, this isn't going the way Kevin Durant thought it was going to go, even though it has gone that way on the scoreboard.
It was a Faustian bargain. That's what you're looking for. Faustian bargain.
It wasn't it though?
The devil said, hey, you want MVPs, finals MVPs and championships? I'll give them all to you.
Before getting called cheese butt, the thing that could have set him off was the comments about him not being as good as LeBron.
So, like, the TMZ article is saying that the person said UT butt because he went to Texas. That's not what it says.
Okay, see, but we're all confused, and this is what we're analyzing now. And again,
Let's
TMZ Sports,
here.
yes.
UT butt. You watch your mouth.
Yes, you went to Texas, UT butt.
SuburbanDictionary.com seems like a great idea. In fact, I'm on it. Billy, get on it. P&L's by COB today, 80-20 split.
Did you make it Suburban Dictionary?
Yes. That's what he is saying. That is what he's saying.
Yes.
He's saying,
great idea. Thank you, Amin.
Close the business
I'll
today.
cut you in.
Billy, get the business plan going. Suburban Dictionary. We've got to start one. In fact, you guys can get to work on that right now. See if you have one for us by the end of the show.
More money, more problems.
You trying to take a cut here? Or?
No, I just like it as an idea for content later in the show. Suburban Dictionary. There's got to be all sorts of funny there.
Suburban Dictionary takes you to UrbanDictionary.com. It does.
You meant to type Urban Dictionary. Well, all right. We'll come up with a Suburban Dictionary over the course of the show today. And we're hoping to get that sound cleared for you so you can hear Kevin Durant mocked by the phrase cheese butt in a way that's disorienting to all of us.
I just checked out to see if UT Bud has an entry in UrbanDictionary.com. Nothing there.
Be careful with the verb's entry.
Dan Le Batard.
Dan has it?
Oh, my God. No, this is a Bomani question. Mavis Staples, go.
Stugotz.
You can't hold papers together without some Mavis Staples. I mean, everyone knows that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
This is Lily Allen here. She is going to join us in 30 minutes. We're doing a weird show today. It's not just Lily Allen, who many of you do not know, but Mike Shinoda of Lincoln Park. This had nothing to do with sports as well. But we are going to do a music-themed guest list today.
It's summertime, man. I mean, the NBA season's over.
Many of you do know who Mike Shinoda is. At one point, you could make the argument that Linkin Park was the biggest rock band on the planet.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. At one point, could you make the argument that Linkin Park was the biggest rock band on the planet? Because I don't believe I would make that argument.
No, in terms of contemporary alternative acts during that period of nu metal, they were chart-topping monsters.
At one point.
Yeah, at one point.
At one point, yes, that's fine.
This is not a hot take.
No. You sounded a little bit like Andrew Luck there.
I mean,
I did hear
I'm so, bumping my Walkman. I love Linkin Park. When I was in high school, I had Hybrid Theory, it was a banger.
I think
Paper Cut, that was a great track.
I think I'm here for music reviews with Andrew Luck.
No
if you
doubt.
want to do some of that, instead of Mel Kiper,
me and my buddy Jack Doyle, we really bonded over. In the end,
Stugotz.
So I haven't thrown a football in 3 years.
Kevin Durant, when you see him leave the arena last night as a guy who's a Twitter egg guy. He's a guy who will go and create a burner account because he cares about what's going on in the comment section. Are you in agreement with the idea? Are you in agreement with the idea that he would be not exactly happy even after hitting that great shot?
I'm sure Frank Reich is concerned. I've been, as I said, 3 years and a while I'm not throwing football.
Yeah, and I'm not concerned, Dan. I think he expected a reaction that he's not getting. He wanted validation, and he thought winning titles would get him the validation that he coveted, and he has won the titles. He's about to win his second straight back-to-back finals MVP, and he's not getting what he wants from the fans and the media, and I don't know how he didn't see that coming. He joined a team that was already great. They won before Kevin Durant even got there.
You saw, Jacoby Brissett, chemistry with Jack Doyle.
usually if you make the Kevin Durant shot, if that's a shot that you make, you get the credit immediately there on the spot because that's a ridiculous dagger. That is a ridiculous dagger that he shot to end LeBron James. Look at the ridiculous thing that the Warriors had to build to end LeBron James and his time in Cleveland. But at the top of the key, that shot for a championship, Stugotz, that usually is something that you're allowed to believe will erase all the doubters.
Well, you know, my dad is on the XFL. I can go there. I mean, you know, Memphis Maniac.
But here's the thing, Dan, right? Usually that shot does kind of cement your legacy, but the problem is there are two other guys on that team that can hit that shot. And those two guys, by the way, were a combined 7 of 27 last night. Think about that. And Golden State still won. It's too easy for them. It's too easy for Kevin Durant. People want you to work for your championships, and this doesn't feel like work. I'm sorry, it just doesn't.
You know, the helmet, for the Maniacs, it just said axe on it. It was all confusing, but, I guess if you're a Maniac, you use an axe.
Stugotz, you're not allowing him the position. He's making a shot there to win the thing at the end from an obscene length. You're not allowing him the possibility of impressing you if at the end of the game, dragging the two-time MVP Steph Curry to the championship, whether Steph Curry wants to go yesterday or not because he's not making anything, he hits the Curry shot to finish LeBron James, Stugotz. You're not giving him any room to get the victory on this one.
My old coach, he would have loved, coaching a football team with an axe on the helmet, because he loves chopping wood.
I'm done being impressed with Kevin Durant. I really am. I know how great of a player he is. I do. I mean, how can you not look at Kevin Durant and realize what a once-in-a-lifetime type talent he is in the NBA? But I was done being impressed the second he decided to leave Oklahoma City, where he had a very good team and a great teammate in Russell Westbrook, and join the Golden State Warriors. I'm sorry. I'll be impressed if Kevin Durant wants to leave Golden State this year, which he should, goes to another team and takes that team to an NBA championship. Then I'll start being impressed with Durant again.
I could perhaps be, a member of the Orlando Rage. I have rage when I got tuna stuck in my braces.
You're saying that the only way for Kevin Durant to actually win a championship in your personal record book is to leave. That he simply can't do it at Golden State. That it doesn't matter that Steph Curry was awful yesterday. It doesn't matter if Steph Curry is injured. A lot of people say Steph Curry's still the key to that team, that when he plays well, they always win. When Kevin Durant plays well, they sometimes win.
And, you can always be a New York, New Jersey enforcer. You can throw balls like Kirby Dardar.
Yeah, but Steph goes 3 of 16 last night, and Kevin Durant has the big game, and they end up winning that game, and it still means nothing for Kevin Durant. It just doesn't. And so, yes, the only way Kevin Durant wins, not just in my personal record book, Dan, but in the eyes of many, the only way he wins is by leaving. That's it. LeBron is doing more for his legacy by losing than Kevin Durant is by winning. Why? Because people are seeing the struggle for LeBron is real. It's hard for LeBron James. It's easy for Kevin Durant.
And be, regular Tommy Maddox, with the LA Extreme, with $1 million game. That'll be cool. I can buy all the water fountains and put all my mouth on
it. More money, more problems.
Guillermo, put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is LeBron James getting more credit for losing than Kevin Durant will ever get for winning? Spirited gifts, people, we have told you Father's Day is getting closer and closer. If you want to get your father a better gift than you usually get him every year, I'm telling you right now, these people will do it for you. Dad's going to be impressed. It's easy. You're going to be supporting us. We're not easy to support. Spirited Gifts is supporting us. Support them.
Yep, we love them. I've used them. They are fantastic guys. I think of all the people that I've heard or double-crossed over the years, and it's time that I've made up for being such a scoundrel. Elon Musk, when I believe in your mission, I surely don't believe that you'll accomplish it. I believe in it, but I don't think you're going to get done. And quite frankly, I think you're more of a scoundrel than I am. But I feel that I've gone too far. And I'm going to send you something from spiritedgifts.com. From me to Elon Musk. Perhaps some Balvenie. Maybe some Glenfiddich. How about that?
Thank you, Stugotz. I really appreciate it. I'm Elon Musk.
SpiritedGifts.com is the place to go. It really is, guys. Do something unique for Dad this Father's Day and go to SpiritedGifts.com. It's a local Miami business. We absolutely love them. They have done great things for our show. They will do great things for you and your family. And Elon Musk, expect one in the mail. I'll send it to Mars. SpiritedGifts.com/Dan is the place to go for free gift wrapping, and free shipping. That's SpiritedGifts.com/Dan.
Dan Le Batard.
Mike, for some reason, I saw you in the room there working on what I thought was your Andrew Luck. I wasn't sure. I walk into the room, and of course, what they're talking about is who in sports would you call to rescue your life if you were in a threatening situation and feel like you were going to actually be rescued. And so he's working on his Andrew Luck. So let's go ahead and play it out.
Stugotz. Well, it's not something I want to do, but absolutely it'll save your life. I'll rappel down this cave. I'll neutralize the threat. We'll secure the perimeter. Get you back to your beautiful wife. Happy wife, happy life. Jack Doyle.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
We should tell you, if you are not a fan of music or you're not a fan of Lily Allen's music, we understand. And we understand why you think it's weird that this sports show is doing that kind of stuff. But we want to talk to interesting people about interesting things to broaden the audience net. And so Lily Allen is going to join us at 11 o'clock in about 12 minutes. Many of you will be very excited by that. Many of you will have no idea why she's on, but we will enjoy her time anyway.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't listen, though. She's got really engaging personality.
I'm not trying to dissuade people. I'm not trying to dissuade them. I'm just telling them that I know what we're about to do here. We're about to do over the last 2 hours, instead of talking about LeBron's future or Game 3 of the Finals, we're going to be doing a lot of talking to a couple of musicians who are interesting. So Mike Shinoda, Linkin Park, and Lily Allen in 12 minutes. But the idea, Stugotz, that the league is being ruined by the Golden State Warriors. I understand as LeBron gets throttled here and is down 3-0, why people would jump to the conclusion this is ruinous for the league. But A, what dynasty has ever been ruinous for that league? B, you could keep saying that it's ruinous for the league, but the ratings keep going up. That TV deal ESPN signed with Turner to box out all other competitors, that's looking like not a terrible deal today because the ratings are all up. LeBron against the Warriors in the finals is, even if you've seen it 2 or 3 times, it's still the most interesting thing they can give you.
But this is the last time, right? This is the last time that is interesting,
no, but now, right now, today, beginning today, LeBron is now going to hijack the entire summer.
Right.
The entire summer will belong to LeBron as he decides between teams. And Stephen A. Smith is saying here, Stephen A. Smith is telling you he is going to meet with the Warriors. That right. LeBron James is going to meet with the Warriors. LeBron is going to hijack right now. It begins right now because you don't need to watch the rest of the series. It begins now, LeBron James hijacking your summer as he decides where he's going to build the super team that comes after Golden State.
This stuff could get interesting, because the Warriors have every intention of talking with LeBron James this offseason, once free agency begins. Now, I have been on the record stating, if LeBron James even thinks of going to Golden State, I'll lose my mind. I mean, it would be worse to me than Kevin Durant going to Golden State.
Yeah.
You got to be kidding me. But here is Golden State's dilemma for all of you to know. They are in negotiations. They are talking with Klay Thompson. They do plan on talking to him more so again this summer, although Klay Thompson's father, Michael Thompson, our colleague here at ESPN Radio out of L.A., has stated that he sincerely doubts that Klay Thompson will sign a contract this summer. He wants to wait until he becomes a free agent in 2019. If you're the Golden State Warriors, your top priority is to keep your core 4 intact. Klay Thompson is up after next season. Draymond Green is up after 2 more seasons. If LeBron decides that indeed he wants to come to the Bay Area, Golden State would be in a position where if LeBron was to opt in and force a trade out of Cleveland, Golden State would be in a position where you're talking about Klay and Draymond Green being gone in favor of making room for LeBron to join KD and Steph.
Woof.
Kidding me?
I'm rooting for this to happen just so I can hear what it sounds like for Stephen A. Smith to lose his mind.
Yes.
Well, you've heard it before. Don't threaten me, right? He said
No, apparently it's never happened.
He's always kept his cool.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but didn't he come after Durant in a way that suggested a lost mind situation? That there was a movie trailer that we did because he was furious with Kevin Durant. So if he was more furious with LeBron James than he is with Kevin Durant,
that was him keeping it cool.
There's no ruining of the league with dynasties. There's no ruining of the league with Kevin Durant making that shot last night.
I sit here today incredibly offended by the personal attack that this man has put against me.
In a world with hot takes, his takes might be the hottest.
Kevin Durant is the one that's lying.
Kevin Durant is in too deep.
You know, I made a mistake.
With a man you don't want to make an enemy out of. The Slim Reaper versus the suit with 400 buttons.
I don't want to hear from you, and nobody else should either.
McDonald's All-American.
Am I human? Do you look at me that way?
Versus McDonald's commercial.
Had I had to come on the air that next day, I can promise you it would have been very bad.
Stephen A. Smith.
Forget the numbers. You don't need them. Look at his eyes.
Versus Kevin Durant and them boys.
You the real MVP.
You won't want to be on his Journa hit list.
You don't want to make an enemy out of me. And I'm looking right into the camera. And I'm going to say it again. You do not want to make an enemy out of me. I'm not having it.
He's writing your fate. And he's up against a deadline.
Guillermo was fiddling around in the lab there, and he was combining the calls of Mike Breen and Stugotz last night. If you were to merge both broadcasts last night on ESPN Gizmos, you would have found Stugotz talking at the same time as Mike Breen, and their calls, if merged, would have sounded something like this.
Now Hood picks him up on the switch. Shot clock at 5. Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers!
Doesn't count.
Kevin Durant from downtown.
We're going to replay. It doesn't
Still
count.
106 to 103, 100. In fact, if I subtract all his points, the Cavs have blown him out.
That is about as fast as you got to doesn't count. I want to play it again. Again, the shot of the season last night. The basketball's over. LeBron James is leaving. The quest for the next LeBron James team starts now after this shot.
Now Hood picks him up on the switch. Shot clock at 5. Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers!
Doesn't count.
Kevin Durant from downtown.
We're going to replay. It doesn't
Still
count.
106 to 103, 100. In fact, if I subtract all his points, the Cavs have blown him out.
Doesn't count because none of the shots that Durant makes count in Stugotz's personal record book. Lily out.
Dan Le Batard.
I have a child.
Stugotz.
Farts smell worse when you need to make a poopy.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. If I sound defeated, I am, because there's a word coming up that I can't pronounce. With more than 30 unique coverage options available, Progressive knows small business. Learn more at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. We're hoping to have Lily Allen here. That was not the word. In just a second. Here's your SportsCenter update.
All is forgiven today, all right? We're all slurring.
Thank you.
We're all hungover.
Oof.
Anything that happens here is not, we are not responsible for it.
I feel okay. It's just like there is a speed bump coming up that is, it's problematic, man. I don't know what to do with it. Colin Kaepernick's legal team is expected to seek a federal subpoena on Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and other officials to find out what they discussed with NFL owners regarding Kaepernick's free agency and player protest. The IBF has stripped Triple G of his championship because he refused to agree to a mandatory fight with Sergey Derevchenko.
Sounds like Sergey.
You probably got Derevchenko right and not Sergey.
I don't know. How would you do that?
I'd go Sergey if it's Sergei.
Second story right here. I got nothing.
Oh,
right.
it's Sergiy. Or no, you're not even close on Derevchenko. Derevchenko. Okay.
Oh, you nailed it.
Yeah.
There you go. Good job. And finally, John McAfee, the eccentric inventor of McAfee antivirus software, who fled Belize when he was sought for questioning concerning murder, is once again running for president.
That's the guy I told you about.
Yeah.
He's a fugitive, and he had a hammock, and in the hammock he would like put a hole, and then he had women put their face under it. I'm sorry. No, excuse me. I'm sorry. This is all very uncomfortable. He just liked women pooping on his face. Moving on.
For all the latest headlines and information, tune in the Sports Center on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
I got Mike, I said beforehand, we can't be held accountable for the things that happen around here when they work us this way.
Disclaimer.
So a texter writes in here, why are these black athletes so hostile? Kaepernick grew up a rich kid. I would just say to you that kneeling isn't hostile.
Getting down on a knee is not.
It's not an act of hostility, as far as I could tell, at any time in the history of kneeling outside of MMA. Outside of MMA, when you're allowed in that barbaric sport to drop a knee on someone's face.
Universally, that's always been widely considered as the exact opposite
it's not hostile. It's not. So Lily Allen is on Rockstar time. We will get to her when she decides to show up. That one works that way every time. There's not, when you are somebody who is famous in music, we've got to wait. So we will be waiting. But as it relates to last night and Kevin Durant and the idea of LeBron James, Stugotz, I would love to be his business team right now trying to figure this out. Like, I would love to have that kind of power to hijack the entirety of a summer that we're going to talk now about. It's not even the Golden State Warriors against the league. Now it becomes the Golden State Warriors against whatever LeBron James builds.
Correct. I guess you could throw the Celtics in as a third team if he doesn't go to Boston, meaning they would also have a chance if Kyrie comes back healthy and Hayward comes back healthy. So we'll see, man. But I'm excited for Lily Allen, man. My kids keep texting me. They're like, I cannot believe you and Dan are having Lily Allen on. Dad, do you even know who she is?
Okay, well, we are old people, but her new album, No Shame, is out tomorrow, and she has become a star, but she might not be the most famous star in her own family. I'm not even sure what the answer to this is, because her brother is on Game of Thrones, Alfie Allen, and so she joins us now. Again, No Shame is out tomorrow. Who is the most famous Allen in your family? Thank you for joining us, Lily.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I'm not sure I can answer that question for you. I think, well, I've got slightly more Instagram followers than my brother, so.
Whose success is more surprising? If we were to talk about your family situation with the people who saw it, whose success is more surprising?
I don't know, I mean, I think we were both show-offs, as kids. So, I mean, but also, neither of us are particularly extraordinary children. So, yeah, I think my dad maybe is probably the most surprised, because he's an actor and he's got pretty high opinion of himself. So.
Well, which is the harder path, right? These are creative paths are very hard. Which would you say is the harder path to success? Being better than everyone else at music, or being better than others at acting?
Being better at acting for sure, because it's easier to get ahead if you can be nice to everybody, which is easy if you're an actor.
Yeah, I guess so. How were you discovered, Lily? By the way, Lily Allen, again, we're saying this, No Shame is out tomorrow. How were you discovered?
How was I discovered? I mean, I was discovered, I guess, by sending my demos to lots of record companies, and I got a record deal, but I guess by, the people that matter, which is the fans, they kind of discovered me through a website called MySpace. Ye olde MySpace.
I mean, you got to feel old just saying that.
Wait a minute,
Lily, you're young.
Wait a minute. Hold on a second. Discovered through MySpace. Can you tell us that story? What are the details?
What do you mean?
How were you discovered through MySpace? Like, how did it happen? Who discovered you?
No, I mean, I guess I just, I put all my songs up on my MySpace, and that was something that, hadn't really happened before for musicians to be able to have a platform to put their music up on for people to discover themselves. And I know I kind of had a few friends and followers, and I made these mixtapes, and I'd hand make the cover art for these CDs, and then I'd package them up myself and send them out to people, and news just kind of spread. So, yeah, that was kind of how it started for me.
That's generally how it works, Dan.
Thank you, Stugotz.
Gizmos, you put them out there, and, people take notice.
Do you have any questions for Lily Allen? Do you have anything you'd like to ask her?
I do, Lily. I've read here because I spent some time in Ibiza when I was in college. I went there. I didn't sleep for a week. I'm telling you, I went there spring break with a bunch of friends. We did not sleep for a week. At one point, my friend said, "Does anyone have a cigarette?" We all said no. He said, "I'm going to smoke my finger." That's how bad it was. And so I know you spent time in Ibiza, and I'm reading here that you thought that you were a bad drug dealer. Please explain. How can you be bad at that, Lily?
Well, can't really answer that now. What time is it there? Yeah, I guess I'm not just a very good business person in general. The whole point is to sell things, isn't it? And I wasn't very good at doing that.
All right, hold on. We got to get some more details here. We need to understand a little more about what's happening here.
I'm not expanding on it.
No, wait a minute. You're a free thinker. You're a free speaker. You're feuding with Pierce Morgan for some reason. Like, you're not afraid of anybody.
Drugs are bad, okay? No, I had a lot of fun in my youth, and but I suffered as a result later on. So I'm not advocating, but yes, things happened, but they're in the past.
All right, if I may, and I know I'm prying here, but just can you describe in general terms the life of a 15-year-old drug dealer in Ibiza?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was, to be honest with you, it wasn't my main vocation. I sold tickets for nightclubs, and I worked in a record shop. And so, yeah, I mean, it was more of a sort of like side business. But yes, it was, very funny, and there was lots of music, and, it was a little bit like, sort of spring break crowd, I guess, in America. It's the same sort of thing.
That was me.
Again, new album, Smoke the Finger is funny. The new album, No Shame, is out tomorrow. Lily Allen with us. This is personal. From what you went to some dark places to be revelatory in this album, it sounds like, from what we're reading about it, but everyone can get it and hear it tomorrow. But you decided to be open about some things that wounded you.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what music is about for me anyway. It's, writing your experiences down and trying to turn them into songs. So, yeah, I've been in a bit of a tough spot over the past few years. I've broken up with my husband, and, lots of other things kind of went wrong along with some things going right, and it's all there, It's 4 years worth of life to music.
Do you go to that deep place because when you perform this stuff, you want to feel it? You want to feel it every time you perform it. You want to go to that place that hurts.
Yeah, of course. That's kind of the whole point of it for me. It's catharsis.
Lily, you were offered a role in Game of Thrones. You didn't take it. We discussed your brother being on it. Do you regret not taking that role?
That's not true, actually. I didn't get offered a role. I got asked if I would like to audition, which I declined. So, Gemma Whelan, who did get the role that I was asked to audition for, was fantastic and would have beaten me hands down. So, yeah, it was very nice to be asked, but, yes, I was busy.
It's just busyness. So, all right, real quick before we let you go, new album, No Shame. It's out tomorrow. Stranded on the Moon, you have said you'd want one artist to be with you, Kurt Cobain. And I'm just curious, among all the artists, you pick him, why?
Well, he kind of he died when I was, just sort of beginning to discover his music, so... and I absolutely fell in love with it. So yeah, I chose him because I've got lots of questions to ask.
And you wanted to make love to him?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay. Thank you, Lily. Thank you, Lily. We appreciate your time. Thank you for being on with us. We enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Splash!
Mike, what's the reaction to that? Anytime, like I like talking to her, and I thought she was interesting, but how people are.
You know what? I'm going to look that up because I thought she was very pleasant. There was a phone line issue there a little bit from the production end. I'm a fan. But very pleasant, engaging, lovely accent too. So that's always an easy hit.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I feel like a whole new person.
Disclaimer, you will not become a whole new person. This is impossible. You might be able to join a gym or diet program, buy a new wardrobe, get hair implants, but your DNA and physical form will remain the same. Geico waives any and all liability if you attempt to become a new person, except a cyborg. If you choose to become a half-human, half-cybernetic organism with lasers for eyes, the Geico legal team would be cool with that, because, quote, laser eyes are pretty sweet. Pew, 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 end quote.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Dan Le Batard.
I don't know anything.
Stugotz.
I don't remember what I was going to talk about, so in those instances, what I have is a default that just makes fun of Stugotz.
You're welcome.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
For those of you who do not know, Stugotz always wins. The deal is he is the Roadrunner, I'm the Coyote, and he's fallen apart last night, right? In every way.
Oof.
He was just eating and giving hot takes, and he was the star of the night as we revolutionized the way that basketball is watched in this country. Soaring on the wings of Amin El-Hassan, who did nothing but get kicked out of the show at every turn because his basketball analysis stunk. We flew him in at considerable expense. He comes here to analyze the game. The game is playing. He's not watching it. He can't analyze the game. He comes in here this morning, bloodshot eyes. He comes in here and he can't analyze it this morning either because he still hasn't watched the game.
So he defaults to the Warriors team who didn't win a championship would beat the Warriors team who's about to win a championship, which is absurd considering one team has a ring and the other does not. I mean, just a ridiculous take.
It's an amazing take, and I want every single show on this network to debate this endlessly for the rest of the summer.
Okay. Wow. Debate what? Could Kevin Durant beat Harrison Barnes in a game of one-on-one?
Get out of here, 2 minutes.
Get out of here, 2 minutes. Get out of here.
I'm sorry,
You're
man.
that easily stumped. No, because you stand. That's the point. It's radio. You got to talk. I didn't say anything. It's not a defense. How have you been so terrible at radio the last 2 days? Get out of here. Just go sit in the penalty box. I don't know what's the matter with him. He's been unendingly terrible for 2 days. We all drank the same amount. Everyone here slept the same little amount.
You drank?
You did that sober?
That is Straight Talk. It is brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless, nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network.
Who were you talking to that you just kept saying Rafa over and over again in the hallway?
I was talking about the red clay at Roland Garros with Mike Ryan because I asked him, Rafa was struggling first semifinals, first set. He lost the first set, then won the next three. I asked Mike, did Rafa win? Is he in the final? Mike said, are you kidding me? It's Rafa on the red clay. Of course he's in the final. And he is. He went on to win that match. But then we were discussing the greatest clay court players of all time. Because that's what we do during the breaks around here. I mean, we talk some tennis.
Yeah, he went Borg. A little bit before my time, but I understand.
Yeah.
But the gulf between 1 and 2 is so wide, Dan. No one can touch this guy on this surface. He's a god. And by the way, when healthy, I think he's probably at his peak, maybe the best tennis player I've ever seen. Wow. But specifically on that surface, it doesn't even matter talking about who number 2 is. He is just that undeniably great.
I mean, he's going for his 11th French Open. That is amazing. I think maybe Gustavo Kuerten. I would throw Borgen as a second, maybe Sergio Bruguera, but I mean...
You in game 1. Game 4, we take it. Game 5, we take it. Game 6, we take it.
Who is this person? Who is that?
It's a Miz, a wrestler.
Oh, it's the Miz against Stephen A.
I'm going to compare you to an all-time great. That was like Hulk Hogan back in the day because he had you.
Max, get out of the way, Max. Is Stephen A. coming back at the Miz? Max, get out of the way.
Your hand came up like this and you rallied. You fed off the emotion of the crowd.
I did.
Have you been talking? You think the Cavs can do the same?
And I think I think they can do the same. And I know I'm speaking from.
I'll pod you up, Stephen A. when you got something to say.
All right. I mean, but the Miz came out swinging and said we're going to win 4. He just started counting.
Hold on. Are you aware that no team in NBA Finals history has ever come back from 3 up?
No, never.
Ever. It's never happened.
But they never had LeBron James.
Yeah. Actually, no, that's not true. The Cavs were down 3-0 to the Spurs, and they had LeBron James.
Factually incorrect by the Miz.
They did. He
Oh,
was down 3-0. So they did have it. There was one of those teams that did have LeBron James.
That's a finisher.
Number 2, have you been talking to Steve Harvey? I spoke to him yesterday. He was talking about, you know what, I need to watch myself going to the car. This is Cleveland. We're going to find a way to pull this out. That's what he was saying. This is what we made of. So that's basically the ilk that you're coming from, right?
Yes.
You think that's going to work for you?
Yes.
You really believe that?
100%.
Without prayer?
No, I honestly believe we can win in 7. Because we have LeBron James. And he'll be MVP on the winning side.
You need a team. Like, there's one thing if you just don't have enough good players.
I mean, Stephen A's got no time for the Miz. He finished with a prayer and then put his elbow on the table and said nothing else because enough had been said.
You know who's surprisingly good on the red clay? Yvonne Lendl. He was surprising because really more of a hard court guy, but Yvonne Lendl, he had the sawdust in his pocket, and you'd never think he'd be good on the red clay. But Lendl went on to win 3 French Opens, Mike. It's amazing. And Michael Chang not bad either.
Oh, you know who's super disappointing? Gael Monfils, because he's got all the skills on that red surface. All the skills, but he can never win it.
Yes, well, that's because Nadal's around. If Nadal was never, no one ever gave birth to Rafael Nadal, Monfils would have 15 French Open titles.
Put that on the poll, Guillermo. What were you laughing about in the background, Guillermo? What happened on first take?
Stephen A. just gave the Miz his back. He just turned away from him and looked towards the crowd.
Don Le Batard.
When's the last time you were that angry or passionate about something?
Never.
Ever. Never seen Dan.
Never in my life. I've never cared about anything or anyone the way that he cares about it not being the United States of Tortorella.
Stugotz.
He has to be taking all kinds of pills, right?
No. Man, what are you doing there? That is reckless use of the microphone.
Well, the blood pressure has to be high, does it not?
Put it up on the poll. At Le Batard Show, did Guillermo just accuse Stephen A. Smith of pill popping? Yes or no? That is really efficient, disastrous use of the microphone right there.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Terrence Bud Crawford looks to conquer a 3rd weight class when he battles WBO welterweight champion Jeff the Hornet Horn. Someone's got to fix that nickname, man. It's starting to drive me crazy. The Hornet Horn. It should be the Horn Hornet. Can't have the longer thing be the nickname. You can't have it. Seriously. You shorten nicknames, you don't expand them.
I mean, Horn Hornet just sounds like you were named by a stutterer.
Jeff the Horn Hornet, not Jeff the Hornet Horn.
But that's his name.
That's weird.
You
want nickname.
You want his last name to be Hornet when his name is Horn.
It's weird. Is it not? Jemele, can you help me out here?
Hold on a minute. We haven't even introduced Jemele yet.
That's why I was trying to be silent.
Anyway, he's going to take on WBO welterweight champion Jeff the Horn Hornet Saturday, June 9th, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on ESPN+. Looking forward to that one. Here's your SportsCenter update. Colin Kaepernick's legal team is expected to seek a federal subpoena on Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and other officials. The IBF has stripped Triple G of his championship because he refused to agree to a mandatory fight versus, come on, Sergey Derevchenko. Whatever. And finally, a South Portland man set his kitchen on fire in an attempt to force his roommate to move out.
Got to hear both sides.
Yeah, you're right. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
You might think that Stugotz mentioned Colin Kaepernick and then a flume opened up in the floor and Jemele Hill popped up here because that's how we do it around here. That's not what happened. What actually happened here is Amin El-Hassan is furious. we've pulled the goalie because he's mad that he flew all the way across the country to do basketball analysis. He was terrible yesterday. Jemele,
I witnessed this.
Jemele does this better with a beer in her hand than Amin does it sober.
That was actually true.
Yeah. I went in for one of those big, classic, insincere hugs that I give, and Amin was having nothing to do with it.
He was a disaster.
No, he's mad, Dan.
He left here furious. And so we've replaced him with someone better.
And then he can't even pull the race car anymore.
Yeah.
Because he tried to do that last night. He said it was racial undertones.
Yes, he did say racial undertones. You got protection now.
That's right. Both fronts. Race and gender.
Race and gender protection.
Yeah.
We need that around here. We don't have nearly enough of that. The Colangelo stuff. Is he going to keep his job? What is happening here? You got a law firm. Bomani and Pablo came very strong saying you are responsible for the words of your wife when you're in Colangelo's position. I felt like what we did. For the love of
Point out how he had no business wearing them damn shorts with mismatched socks and a suit. Can I at least do that? Something?
Now look.
Well, first of all, I can't talk style.
Wow.
Stephen A. would sell out arenas just giving hot takes. He would. I'd go see it. Like a Broadway play. I would. I'd go see Stephen A. on Broadway.
That's outstanding.
Like Bruce Springsteen?
Yes.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo.
Yes.
Would you go Stephen A.? I mean,
Mike Tyson. Yes.
On the Run tour too, or Stephen A. Smith? It's tough.
Stephen A. No, it's not. It's not tough at all.
What do you do with the Colangelo situation, though? Like, if you're, because Bomani said you got to fire him either way. Fired either way. And to my thought, well, hold on a second. I mean, if it's a wife being protective of her husband and does things she's not supposed to do, should that be a fireable offense?
Well, I think he should be fired, but not because he's responsible for what his wife may have done. And I don't know if you experienced this in your career. I certainly did. When I was a journalist, as we were discussing yesterday, Dan, people forget I actually did used to, write stories and behave as a journalist. I had many a player wife, coach's wives. I can't say who it is, but there's a coach's wife who's very angry with me right now and confronted me. And me and the husband are fine, but wives, they read more material. They go deep dive on the internet. They read all the stories. And there are many cases where I've had wives and girlfriends and mothers independently confront me and their husbands had no knowledge of this. So
how does that one go for you? Like, how unpleasant is that one too? Because it makes sense, right, Stugotz? Like, if it makes sense that both ways, that if a man hears his woman disrespected or a woman hears man disrespected, or if you're gay, that you're going to be defensive of the person. Like, you're going to be more defensive of that person than even that person is because you're trying to protect them.
It's funny. My wife does not defend me at all. She agrees with everything that you say. I mean, she does. It's
she's weird. Like accurate.
Yeah. Yep. Dan's right. Always. Yeah.
Got to side on the side of truth instead of love. But what do those confrontations go like? That's awkward.
Yeah, no, it was really awkward when it happened to me. This happened in the last couple months, and they were just upset because sometimes this happens too. If you work for ESPN, you all of a sudden have to answer for everything the network does, and it was one of those cases where she didn't like how her husband had been portrayed, the coverage of something that kind of he had been involved in. And so she confronted me about it. And it was somebody I've known for a while. And
you're taking it for all of us?
Yeah.
For all of us.
Did.
That ain't even about you, something you said or you wrote. That's just you taking it on behalf of all of us.
I took it for the team.
For Stugotz. Mike, this is what happens. You rip J.J. Watt, and then somebody comes and yells at Jemele about it. You rip.
Well, J.J. deserves it. I mean, outside of the stuff he does off the field, the guy had a sack in 2 years. I mean, please. He's a great guy off the field, but JJ absolutely deserves it. JJ's always making everything about JJ, and he deserves it. I don't care who came to Jemele on that front. Jemele agrees with me. I know she does.
So,
you do, right?
But it doesn't matter. We're teammates, Stugotz. We're teammates.
Yes,
all right? Doesn't
exactly.
matter.
Yes.
But yeah, those are awkward, and I don't take it personally because I realize even with me, obviously I've been written about a lot. My mother is very angry at a lot of the coverage. There's some particular people in the highest office she's not very pleased with either. Right. And so as a result, I have to tell her to calm down. You know, my mother told me she actually called the White House, which I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Your mom called.
Well, there you go. That's a great story. Like, that's it. How defensive. Like, stop. Leave my daughter alone.
Right?
I'm going to make that movie. Can we make that movie? Like starring Jamie Foxx? No.
The White House has like a general number? Like, how does that?
No, they do.
Yeah, they do have a general number. Did she leave
number.
a message? Did she leave a message?
I wanted to know nothing else because I wanted plausible deniability.
She left a message while they were doing that music festival on the lawn the other day at 3:00.
They were releasing
I know what
Eagles.
you meant, but now I'm picturing Jamie Foxx as Jemele's mom.
I don't know. No, I just want. You know what I meant because I saw Jamie Foxx in a couple of president
Wanda
movies.
from A Living God.
You not just call my mom a man? Is that where are we going with this?
Don Le Batard.
It's Rich Eisen stealing my material. It is Jimmy Traina stealing my material. Hey, get out of here, man.
Who is that? Who is Jimmy Traina?
He's a media writer, I think, out of New York, who I happen to like.
Stugotz.
Like,
there it is. There it is. The pivot of the Stugotz into schmarmy salesperson.
No, I happen to like Jimmy. Like, I don't know Jimmy, but I happen to like Jimmy. Jimmy Traina sounds like a guy I would hang out with.
It does. I think you're pronouncing his name wrong, by the way, but keep it moving.
Oh, whatever. I like Jimmy.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So last night, the NBA season ended. We will miss the NBA season, and the historic ending was covered differently by different factions of the ESPN empire. Over here, Mike Breen was doing it very professionally. Over there, Stugotz was not. And so we've merged both calls in real time for what happened during the biggest shot in that game when Kevin Durant makes that half-court shot to end LeBron. And this is how it sounded.
Now Hood picks him up on the switch. Shot clock at 5. Kevin Durant way outside. Delivers!
Doesn't count.
Kevin Durant from downtown.
We're going to replay. It doesn't
Still
count.
106 to 103, 100. In fact, if I subtract all his points, the Cavs are blowing him out.
So the legacy of Kevin Durant. When you look at it, Jemele, he thought he was going there to get one thing. He has gotten that thing on the scoreboard, and he ain't getting loved. He ain't getting loved as he's making a shot that ends a season that is clutch at any time in history. Stugotz is not alone in saying, no, that doesn't count. That's not fair, and it doesn't count.
Yeah, the majority of people probably are on your side, Stugotz. They feel as if he is somehow undeserving of this and forgetting that, you know, he came there as an MVP. It's not like we didn't know he was a great player before then. And it's very few hills I'm willing to die on, and that was not a pun or on my name. But the one I am is this absurd idea that sports should be fair. Okay? The whole point, I thought this was the point, is to win as many championships as possible. Charles Barkley, how often, pretty much every show, they ridicule him because he does not have a title. And so sports fans play this unfair game where they say, win a title, but you got to win it this way. Like, you want him to have a title or not?
No, there's a certain way you got to go about it.
So you are
I'm sorry, there is. There's a certain way
but we change that
but
rule
Charles Barkley,
all the time.
But Barkley, who was an MVP, Barkley won an MVP, did he not?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, he didn't leave and go join another MVP in Michael Jordan.
No, but he did try to ring chase at the end of his career in Houston.
Yeah, but you have to see the difference between, like, LeBron James coming down here on a Heat team with
that
Wade.
was loaded.
No, the year before, they were average, okay? LeBron came down here with Wade and Bosh. They never played together, and he took an average team, and they turned them into a championship team. There's a big difference.
Wade was a top 10 player. Bosh was top 15.
But
he literally did. The only difference is that they weren't already here. But he masterminded them all together.
And that's fine. That's okay. So Golden State already had something, right? They already had a championship team. They already had an MVP. And Kevin Durant, who was up 3-1 on that team, he couldn't beat him, so he decided to join him. And so when MVP joins another MVP, it just feels too easy. It feels lazy where you watch LeBron and Michael Jordan, the struggle they had to win that first championship. I didn't feel the struggle of Kevin Durant last year. Did not feel that struggle at all.
Okay, but while he was struggling to win a title, he was getting ridiculed for being hurt too much, for not being able to beat LeBron. It's like No,
he always had Westbrook. So that's the thing.
Yeah, he had Westbrook, but when they lost to the Heat, all right, then it was, can he win a title? Then he was injured. And then it just, his narrative spun in a different direction. And I can't blame these athletes with today's social media and And with all this ridicule they take for not winning, I cannot blame them if they try to put themselves in the best position to win. At the end of their career, who would you rather be, Carmelo or Kevin Durant? I'm going to pick Kevin Durant. Sorry. I'm going to pick Kevin Durant.
Just based on I picked Kevin Durant because he's a better player, period.
Yeah,
I could see that, Jemele. I could see past all that. I know that Kevin Durant is one of the 3 or 4 best players I've ever seen. He was in Oklahoma City. That's the point. Those guys, Michael Jordan didn't leave and join the Pistons. He came back and tried to beat the Pistons. Okay. That's what you do. Okay. That's what competitors do, Jemele.
Okay, let's just say, for argument's sake, that Kevin Durant was put out the playoffs by the Lakers, all right? Do you think he joins the Lakers just because they beat him? Or did he join Golden State just because he wanted to play with those guys? Because I do feel like there's a small distinction.
I think he joined Golden State. He wanted validation of being a great player.
But I'm saying, would he have joined any team that beat him? I don't think that's the case.
But I don't know why he needs this validation. We all think he's a great player. He's a Hall of Fame player, whether he ever joined Golden
State. Because he's human.
Yes, but Dan, how can you think that going to Golden State, who had just won a championship, had 70-plus wins, you think going there is going to get you any sort of validation with fans? It's not going to happen.
Well, I thought it was. I thought it was.
Did you?
Well, because here's how we've moved all this stuff by degrees. It used to be LeBron that we did this to. She's right. It used to be, you join those bums. And then we saw, look, that's pretty hard. Doing that is pretty hard. LeBron joined, they did the parade, we thought it wasn't fair, but then he lost the first year. It's hard to just put them together and win.
But they put a whole thing together, and those parts had never played before. That's a much more, all Kevin Durant did was come in on a team that was already great and say, here's another great player.
Degrees, the way that it's changed by degrees that's interesting is we were doing it to LeBron, hey, we like you now, LeBron. Losing this way is the right way to lose, and now we just moved it over to Kevin Durant. It's like that call in the paint was a symbol between Durant and LeBron where it's being reversed. That's the difference between those two dudes in the league, and one of them decided to make a better business move than the guy who came before him and had already done it. He's a copycat.
Right.
He did it better is what he did. He did it better than LeBron did.
Yeah, I mean, they blame LeBron. If LeBron doesn't create Miami, Kevin Durant probably doesn't feel the confidence to go to Golden State. And we forget the NBA's never been fair. That's why you have 2 franchises, Boston and LA, that won pretty much 70% of the titles.
Right, but now you have a team that they're not even playing good, Jemele. This team's not even playing that well, and they're going to sweep the NBA Finals. I mean, this is not their best game. What you saw last night in any game of the series has not been their A game. They're not even playing well.
Yeah.
That's true. That part's true.
I can't dispute any of that.
That part, I don't know what that league does with the next couple of years because ratings are still up, and clearly we were watching. We're interested in this stuff.
Look, I don't remember people complaining when Jordan was winning 6 out of 8. And he never got to a Game 7 in the final. Every year, we knew how that story was going to end. Every year we knew how that story was.
No, but Dan says it, and I agree with Dan. There was some doubt. Every year there was some doubt.
Really?
Yeah, could Karl Malone get him? Could Sean Kemp and Gary Payton get him?
I didn't feel that way then, but that was just me.
But Golden State's going to win the title, and we're going to say years from now there was no doubt, and there was doubt. In the Houston series, there was doubt. The winner gets to write all the history, all of it.
And we forget this team did blow a 3-1 lead. I mean, it's not like they haven't lost at this particular stage. Would you feel better about Kevin Durant if, let's say, the year that he joined them, they lost?
That's a good question.
Because it feels like, to your point about switching narratives, when LeBron was here in Miami, people were saying some of the same things. The NBA is not going to be fun. He built a super team. He cheated, blah, blah, blah. Then he goes back to Cleveland. They lose, and then it's like when he wins, it feels like a different level of coronation. So would you have felt better?
Yeah, maybe. That's. I never even.
His crime is doing it so much better than LeBron to make it easier.
Right.
Like that's his crime. LeBron already did the same thing, and now he gets to be the hero martyr slayed by the thing that he birthed.
Pretty smart,
Kevin. And if you want to be technical, you could say Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen did it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and listen, selfishly speaking, for me, I wanted to see Durant and Westbrook come back, try it again against that Golden State team. I wanted to see that the same way Jordan did it with the Pistons. That's what I wanted to see. And so,
the issue with this, though, that I love just as we watch it, because we could lament it all you guys want. A championship isn't satisfying because one of these teams is too good. But this is Game of Thrones because the next move isn't going to be by a team. The next move is LeBron on KD. He's going to the offseason. We're going to watch with the ratings because it's Game of Thrones. Kevin Durant's got the crown for now, but LeBron's going to build the next thing.
Dan Le Batard.
People who love this show tend to really, really love Stugotz.
Thank you.
Stugotz.
I mean, Yeah, the love is unreasonable for a man of your despicable core.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. Guests on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. French Open in the men's bracket. Rafa advanced to the semifinals. He will play the winner of Marin Cilic and Juan Martin Del Porto. Same cast of characters every year. I mean, Nadal, he just rips through one of these guys. It's the matter of who, Cilic or Del Porto. It's going to be that one. He'll beat him in 3 sets with a cannon left arm. Adrian Wojnarowski is reporting that the Philadelphia 76ers and Brian Colangelo have parted ways. And finally, the man who was accidentally shot by an off-duty FBI agent at a Colorado nightclub on Saturday will now receive free drinks from the bar for life. The patron of Mile High Spirits Distillery and Tasting Bar in Denver was shot in the leg after the agent allegedly shot him as he grabbed his gun off the floor after it fell out of his waistband holster while he was doing a backflip on the dance floor.
You nailed the dismount, dude, in a way that dude didn't. Just, yes, on the dance floor after doing a backflip while trying to pick up the gun. Shot a dude.
Free drinks for life.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Worth the bullet?
My mind's working now.
Worth the bullet.
Question mark?
Worth the bullet. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Worth the bullet, yes or no?
For a flesh wound? I mean, like skims it, right?
Yeah,
I'm not.
Well, where's the flesh wound? Is it like Buscemi's face in Fargo? Like where? What kind of flesh wound are you? I'm not taking that one for a lifetime of drinking.
I got all the examples you could have gone with a flesh wound. That was the perfect.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Is that the worst flesh wound in the history of the movies? Buscemi's face in Fargo.
Guys, you know me. I like to be in the action. If you need tickets to the game or your favorite band, look no further than Vivid Seats, the official ticket partner of ESPN. Vivid Seats has options to fit your needs. Make sure you get to vividseats.com/ESPN today for an exclusive discount offer. For all the latest headlines and information, tune to the SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Happy 27th birthday, Fetty Wap.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Happy 43rd birthday to Allen Iverson.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Happy 48th birthday, Mike Madonna.
I don't care.
Happy 78th birthday, Tom Jones.
Good luck.
Happy 51st birthday, Dave Navarro.
Happy birthday to him. I don't care. Good luck.
Happy 43rd birthday, Bear Grylls.
I don't care.
So Jemele Hill is in with us.
I think it's Grills. That's a fine.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Grills? All right, that's a fine. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Colangelo's parting ways. There are ways being parted.
Good luck.
I love that statement. Mutually parted ways.
Yeah.
As if last week Brian Colangelo was thinking, you know what? It's time for me to leave. Right?
Yes. Brett Brown, by the way, is taking over the job of president of basketball operations. For now, they're saying. That's what Woj is reporting.
It was one of those situations where, regardless of whatever explanation they came up with, the perception was reality. And once that's the case, no one was going to believe that he had nothing to do with it. I don't care how many trails led back to his wife. And as we talked about last segment, that sometimes family members, when you're in the public eye, they can take it upon themselves to defend you and do things you don't personally want them to do, but they will do them
As
anyway.
your mom did in once calling the White House.
And calling the White House to defend me. To tell them, get off my back.
Here's a tweet from Chris Mannix. The law firm the Sixers hired says they connected the burner accounts of Brian Colangelo's wife, Barbara, and that in interviews she admitted to establishing and operating the accounts.
Man, that is a crazy scandal. Now, looking back on it, because when you talk about perception becoming reality, as soon as the story broke, everybody assumed that he was guilty and that Colangelo was doing the Kevin Durant thing of being in the shadows. On
Not
Burner.
Everybody. Let's be careful there. I mean,
A
I
lot
had
of
Sam
people.
Hinkie. Yeah.
That's right. You did say Sam Hinkie framed him, which was the best of the scenarios, frankly.
Yeah, that was most entertaining. However, there is the question of the medical records. How did she get that information?
Well, how specific were the medical records? Because I feel like that could be a husband coming home and just saying Embiid's got a busted up back, but I didn't read the details of the medical information.
But it's a great point by Jemele, because I think a lot of people, I think people realize, okay, Brian was not operating these accounts, the wife was, but there were too many details in there. Like if my wife was doing a burner account to defend me, which she would never do, she'd mock me relentlessly. But if she did, and she was speaking too much radio lingo, it would be a tell. It'd be a giveaway.
Guillermo, put this on the poll, please. Would Stugotz's wife laugh as the feds closed in on him? Okay. I mean,
Could be the reason they're closing in on
And
him.
what are you doing back there? Guillermo, explain what you're doing. What is happening back there with the board of things behind you as you try to create your own little personal weirdo environment?
Well, we had an ongoing investigation, and now the case has been closed. So we're taking things down. We can remove Hinkie, we can remove Brown, we can remove Kevin Hart.
Oh, so that was the Russell Crowe FBI.
This is our string board.
Called the connection of dots.
Yeah. We were trying to connect and figure out this case, and it's now been closed.
Yep.
It was his wife. So robots weren't involved. The Fanatic wasn't involved. Will Smith wasn't involved.
Hold on a second. What is that headline? What does that newspaper headline directly behind you say? That can't be that's an Onion spoof. That's not a real headline. Tell me that's not a real headline.
This was from USA Today Sports, Thursday, May 31st, 2018. LeBron, not the GOAT. Neither is MJ.
Oh.
What?
Well, who is?
Who could it be? Wait a minute, what?
Why are you zooming in on Kevin Hart as if that's the answer?
Wait a second. There's a GOAT, and his name is not LeBron James or Michael Jordan?
Hold on. Read
is that what you're telling me?
Read that shocking headline again. What blasphemous fool? $2, get out of here.
He's hungover.
He's hungover. He just hit his elbow on the microphone. The single least. Get out of here.
2 minutes in the box.
I think we should change GOAT to BOAT. Best of all time.
I like that. That's what Pat Riley would always say.
Like that. The boat.
Before you get out of here, write that. Should it be boat instead of goat? And then get out of here and don't come back for like 20 minutes.
But who's the GOAT? Or the boat?
It's Kareem.
Oh, Kareem?
What kind of kook?
That is an outrage.
What is that? This guy, this is infuriating.
Magic.
What are you talking about? It's Kareem. It has to be either LeBron or MJ. Those are your only two. There's no third choice.
That skyhook, though, man.
Unguardable. It was. He was 78 years old, averaging 20 and 10, man.
I know. But Magic carried him to an NBA final. That carried him to 5 more after that and said, no, it's not Kareem. But enough.
So does Kareem's not count? Is he also?
Kareem's not even the greatest center of all time. I mean.
What?
He's not the greatest center of all time. You want to get Bob Ryan on the phone? He'll tell you who it is. Bill Russell.
Okay.
I don't think he would say that. I don't think. Let's call.
Dan, he won 13 titles. You don't think he would say Bill Russell's better than Kareem?
No.
He had Bill Russell leading today's NBA in rebounding.
No. He was 6'9". He weighed 5 pounds more than Deion Waiters.
Nice.
I mean, and he always beat Wilt.
Bob Ryan will not say that. Will not be a shocking.
I can guarantee it.
No way. There's no. Bob Ryan's not going to say that Bill Russell was better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Okay.
All right.
Find out together.
All right, we'll find out together if Bob Ryan is next.
Washing my nose, oh yeah.
I'm a shower curtain, and I do one thing, keep water from leaking everywhere. So you see why I feel useless compared to Geico, who does so much more. Like, not only could Geico save you money, but they've been around for over 75 years. And they give you 24/7 access online, over the phone, or on the Geico app. And they've got a 97% customer satisfaction rating. They do all this while I have to listen to this chucklehead. Oh, good, he stopped.
Washing my toes.
Oh, great, an encore.
Geico. Expect great savings and a whole lot more.
Dan Le Batard.
It's a beautiful sport. Basketball is just hugely graceful.
Stugotz.
In the Western Conference.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Jemele Hill in with us as well. Mike Shinoda of Lincoln Park will join us in about 15 minutes. But we all get out of the way when Bob Ryan arrives. He is sports writing royalty. He is, and I think we can make it official today. It's a good day to do it. The person who cares about sports more than anyone in the history of the world. And so,
yes, there's no question.
He's just ambassador for caring about sports more than anyone, knowing sports more than anyone. He's not the greatest of all time because that's Stephen A. Smith, but in this particular realm that I'm talking about, just caring about sports.
Yes, he's like the Rafa on Clay of caring about sports, yes.
So he joins us now, and I don't want to contaminate the jury pool. What's the question? You want him to be an arbiter on this question. What is the question so that I'm not biasing my case?
Well, you think Kareem is the greatest center of all time, correct?
I mean, yes.
Don't contaminate it.
I'm not.
Yes, you already did.
Well, I want to make sure you don't usually have a list. I apologize. I just want to
very direct with what he wanted.
Okay, Bill Russell, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was better? That's all I want.
No, he was asking who's the best center in NBA history.
Yeah, best center in NBA history. There are only two choices here.
Oh, for the love of God, just shut up, Bob. Who's the best center in NBA history?
Well, there are three choices that you can rationally make because you must include Wilt in that conversation. Plus, I'll get to the X factor of them all. I come down to this very simple thing. I have to win a game tonight. My life's at stake. The future of the planet's at stake. And if you tell me that I have a choice as my starting center between Bill Russell and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, there is not even the slightest hesitation. I take the man who I know is as competitive as anyone who's ever played, which includes Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and that, of course, is William F. Russell.
Yeah!
Will do what he does best, guaranteed. You don't know that Kareem would do what he does best, guaranteed, to the extent that you know that Russell would. Russell would control the boards, he'd control the defense, he would be a hub of your offense because he was an excellent passer, and he would simply make plays that aren't really reasonable to make, and he would be more counted upon to fulfill his potential than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would in any circumstance such as we just outlined.
You cannot take William F. Russell over Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Sure, and it's so funny. I wish that they only missed each other by a year. I wish that Russell were either a little bit younger or Kareem a little bit older, and they had at least 2 or 3 years, so we could have seen this once and for all. The way we saw Wilt and Chamberlain. Russell and Chamberlain played against each other 142 times, not counting exhibitions over a 10-year period. Regrettably, Russell never played against Kareem, but I have the slightest doubt that Kareem would have been flustered by Bill Russell the way everyone else was.
No, you can't. You got to have some slight doubt. It's Kareem.
No doubt.
I saw Kareem, and I'm respectful of Kareem, and he's a phenomenal scorer, a rebounder of varying degrees. He was in. He started out rebounding reasonably well. Then he stopped caring. Went 10 years without rebounding as many as 17 in a game until that fateful night after the Memorial Day Massacre in '85. That Thursday night when he came back in Game 2 and played the best rebounding game he had played in literally 10 years because his pride was stung after the Memorial Day Massacre, and he went on becoming the MVP of that series and the Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. Hurrah for him! It took him, and if it wasn't for Magic Johnson's presence in 1979, Kareem would have faded away quietly and never would have played those other 10 years, and it would have been a whole other story. So please, he was not as competitive as Bill Russell. That is a fact.
I love you. Bob, I'm guessing you know this off the top of your head. Do you know Russell's record against Wilt Chamberlain?
No, I don't know it off the top of my head. I don't know, but I know it was a winning record, but I don't know the number. But they did play 142 times, not counting exhibition. Now, I want to say one more thing before, and that's it, because I'm on record 1,000 times, and I want this to be stressed. We're talking about the three greatest centers in terms of their career achievements without any question, or in some order, or however you like them, Russell, Chamberlain, and Kareem. No question. Any list of the top 10 players in NBA history, perhaps probably even top 5 players in history exclusive of position, those three guys are in that list. But the greatest center play of all time was by none of the three. The greatest center who ever played in the short run, whose career was regrettably stunted, was Bill Walton. And I said this 1,000 times, here's 1,001. If Earth were in jeopardy of its existence, if Earth were in a one-game winner-take-all against an interplanetary invader, the loser to go into servitude for all eternity, the first pick of every person who has ever drawn a breath in this Earth, I would take a healthy, underline, Bill Walton.
Bob Ryan is a magical person. He's a magical human being.
He really is.
I love you, Bob.
Bob, it's Billy again.
Hi, Jemele.
Hey.
None of those three could stop Shaq Diesel.
Diesel is the number 5 center of all time.
Oh.
Number 4, of course, being Hakeem Olajuwon. Because there's no way that anyone who saw them when they were knows would take Shaq over. For the same reason I took over, Olajuwon schooled Shaq. I know he was young, but he schooled him badly back in 95. And his career is better. He did better. I'm sorry, I'd take him anytime. But Shaq's, hey, number 5 all time, that's pretty good. Nothing to be ashamed of.
Let's go ahead and explain your tweets with Bob Ryan, and we'll do a little NBA from last night as well. Stugotz will read some Bob Ryan tweets. We'll get 20 seconds of Bob Ryan, and then I'll ask him some basketball questions. Let's go back and forth. Go ahead and play the imaging, Mike.
You have some explaining to do. Time to explain your tweets.
At Glow Bob Ryan, he is tremendous on Twitter. He's my favorite follow. Sirius Beatles Channel 18, a year old today. I give it an A. Biggest takeaway? Have gained a lot of respect for Ringo.
Yes, I did. The interviews that I have heard with him, first of all, he's very witty. And I just think he's insightful, and I like his anecdotal ability to, to spread that gospel. I liked him as a person, and the second thing is, and I know there's a dispute over this, how good a drummer he is. I'm not going to weigh in on what my opinion is. I'll listen to the experts, but there were people who were put forth that he's a better drummer than people want to give. A lot of other people would give him credit for.
Kevin Durant last night does what for his legacy? Does he get to write his own history, or has he tainted it somehow?
No, he's definitely enhanced his stature. He played an epic game, one of the best playoff games I've ever seen, and I've been watching him up close and personal since the mid '60s, and particularly so. That was a great performance. He needs performances like that if he's going to inject himself into any kind of all-time discussions. He did it, and by the way, it counted. Would you tell Billy it counted? It wasn't a regular season game on January 8th or on November 2nd.
It counted.
But it counts in our minds. It really counted, It was rather important. Yes, that was a very important game for his resume.
Wasn't regular season?
It was not. It was more important than the regular season.
Does anyone recall when it was an honor for Mookie Betts to be compared with Andrew McCutchen rather than the other way around? It's a great point.
2 years ago, that was the comparison that people were making. He's the young Andrew. He's the next, the body type and the range of skill. The whole way it came out, the power, the speed, the defensive. He was the next Andrew McCutchen. Well, guess what? Andrew McCutchen is slipped. He's older. This kid, it would be an honor for Andrew McCutchen to be compared to. Mookie Betts he's hurt right now, and but up to his injury was having the best single Red Sox individual season since Carl Yastrzemski in 1967, and that is, of course, a legendary season, one of the great seasons anyone ever had.
Billy thinks Yaz was overrated.
Well, I don't know how do we want to rate him? He's a worthy Hall of Famer. He's definitely a worthy Hall of Famer. He might have been overrated by some people here, no question.
Okay.
But
you're really backing off on Billy's arguments, though, Bob. Billy feels like he's making better arguments than you are.
No, I'm trying to be fair and honest here. I'm trying to be fair and balanced. How's that for a phrase? I'm trying to be honest. I don't know what the rating is. I don't have a frame of reference of what rating Billy is citing about Yaz. Is he saying he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame? I would object. If he's saying, he's not better than, fill in the blank and we'll talk about some people, then we have the discussion. I don't know who he's comparing him to.
He's just a bit of a compiler, in my opinion.
But you know what? There's a lot to be said for that. Baseball is the ultimate grinder sport. Funny thing you mentioned that. That was exactly what I said and wrote about when Yaz retired, is that the great thing about Yaz is he's still here. Yaz is here 20... let me tell you something about Yaz. This is a fact. This tells you the kind of guy he is. In the last week of a 23-year career, the last week, he was taking extra batting practice. Why? Because he was determined that he was going to retire, and they still couldn't throw a fastball by him. He wasn't going to be and they couldn't. And that's a tribute to this guy. He was a great a Gold Glove left fielder, a Gold Glove player. Yes, the greatest. He may be the greatest grinder ever, and there's something to be said for that.
Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Is Yaz the greatest grinder ever? Bob Ryan, always a pleasure, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
All right. Yeah, I want to keep talking to him. I can't talk to him enough.
Yes.
I cannot talk to that dude enough. Mike Shinoda of Lincoln Park is next.
Don Le Batard.
Man, you guys make it hard. You guys really do, because you don't reward vulnerability. Vulnerability doesn't buy you anything. Public, honest vulnerability from the sports figure. And think about what we're talking about. Sports.
Yeah.
Sports. It's not something serious. It's sports.
Well,
Stugotz.
to me, it's serious.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
So we will talk to Mike. Mike Mike.
Not so easy, huh?
Wrong.
Exactly.
Mike Shinoda.
Mike Shinoda.
Let's go ahead and play those promos from yesterday, just so that people can hear what it's like to work with Stugotz. The Colangelo story is an interesting one. Adrian Wojnarowski reporting that he's out. Man, if Colangelo, if you want to get into domestic situations, if he didn't know his wife was doing that on burner accounts, what kind of problems have been now brought upon their marriage in terms of whatever shame she might feel for bringing her husband's career to an end? If he didn't know and he got swallowed by it, how does that one go over at home?
I mean, listen, the wife could always fall back on, honey, I was defending you. I love you that much. I was defending you. I was defending us, our family, that whole deal. I'm not certain, Dan, I'd find it hard to believe, because they parted ways, that he didn't know about the accounts and maybe contributed. Otherwise, I don't think it's fireable. I really don't. Like, your wife does something. I don't think you should be fired for it.
But clearly it is fireable. Clearly, I was on the wrong end of the argument when I said, is there any way? Because I was saying, if it's his wife doing it, I feel like Colangelo is owed an apology. If it's his wife doing it unbeknownst to him, I believe, that one doesn't feel right to me, even though there might be some HIPAA violations there, because you've got some medical secrecy that is now being made public, and that is a breach of trust that you simply can't have in your management tree.
Right. I agree with that we would owe him an apology. That's why I'm led to believe, because I don't think it's fireable, I'm led to believe that Colangelo Brian knew something about what was going on.
All right, Mike Shinoda is going to join us next. He's a little delayed. He's on Rockstar time. We will get to Mike Shinoda of Lincoln Park next.
Don Le Batard.
America's fastest growing sports show.
Stugotz.
Because when you start from zero and you have one viewer, you're growing fast.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz on ESPN Radio.
Our thanks to Jemele Hill for coming into the studio today, giving the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Mike Shinoda is going to join us right now. We have located the rock star, and he'll join us here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
You know him from Lincoln Park, his debut solo album, Post Traumatic. It's going to be available June 15th. If you want to pre-order the album, if you want upcoming tour dates, visit MikeShinoda.com. Thank you, Mike, for making the time for us. Mike Ryan was arguing before you came on that at your point in time, you were the biggest band in the world. The biggest rock band in the world. Who did Mike Shinoda at the time look at and say, no, they're as big as us? Or are you agreeing with Mike Ryan?
It was funny because when on our first album, Hybrid Theory, when it came out, it just, got bigger and bigger and bigger, and we just couldn't even wrap our heads around what was going on, because we were so hard at work touring and then eventually working on a second record. And I remember we were in the middle of writing our second album, when they said, somebody from the label let us know, they said, did you, I know you know that the album did really well in most places. They said, do you know it was the number one selling album on the planet last year? And it was actually like the same year that Britney Spears came out and had her big record. And we had thought like, oh, well, but she's a huge pop star. We just assumed she had, the biggest record. But it was one of those things that made us feel like, wow, this was such a ride. We didn't even realize we were on it.
Well, when did you know before that, or was that the point? Was there any point before that where you're
I was excited. I was excited just at the point when we would come back into town and hear our stuff on the radio, and we play these shows. I remember we played a show in a Best Buy parking lot, and there were like 2 or 3 times the amount of fans that would even fit it was an enormous parking lot, and it was like, we were spilling out into the street and across the street. I mean, you know, it's been a ride, and definitely, like, for me, having kind of gone through all of that and been at the, you know, seen the biggest stadiums and whatever, I actually really enjoy getting into a smaller venue and getting into, like, you know, 3,000, 2,000, 3,000 seater and, like, talking, you know, being closer to the fans.
So when you're at the height of all this stuff, how most immediately did your life change? What problems came with success?
You know, we did I feel like we put in a bunch of effort to actually kind of keep it minimal in a sense, like the I don't know, media attention or whatever. Like back in the day, there was, you know, a lot of, you didn't have the TMZ that you have now, but there was a version of it. And we, you know, in our the band photos and stuff like that, we'd always show all 6 guys. We always really presented the group as a band. And I think that diffused a lot of the attention on, for example, me and Chester. They would always want, oh, you're the singers, like, we want to put you in the front. We want just the two of you on the cover of the thing. And it's not, you know, when you put all 6 guys, it just kind of diffuses it a little bit, and then you're not quite as recognizable. So actually that was strategic as we went along.
When you guys get together, though, you can't be expecting any of this stuff. Like, how is anyone ready for what comes? Who in their right mind expects? Like, if I say to you at any point along this path, hey, what's the best case scenario here for what you're going to become as a band? What would you have said?
Well, we actually had high hopes and big ambitions when we were touring in the probably sometime in the first few years, probably the first year, I think. We were, you know, just talking we were actually driving in an RV. I was driving, and we had like a trailer hooked to the back of it. I think it was just the 6 of us and like one tour manager. And I remember we were sitting there talking about, you know, goals and everything and what we could be doing or what could happen that would be a big, you know, moment. And some of the guys were like, you know, I want to buy a car, I want to have this, I want to be able to, you know, play on this show. And I had joked, I had said, like, pretty much joking, I would want to win a Grammy. And that was like, at the time, it was like such a foreign and far off thing. And on that same album, we did win a Grammy. So that was, you know, that was the first album. And after that, you know, I think our measures of success and our goals changed as we went. You know, we did, I believe it was 7 studio albums, and it's weird how you count it, because we did a mashup thing with Jay-Z, we did some live albums, remix albums and stuff. And over time, you know, it's your priorities change a little bit, and your measures of success change.
Again, debut solo album, Post Traumatic. It's available June 15th. You pre-order the album, or if you want upcoming tour dates, MikeShinoda.com is where you go.
What'd you buy, though, Mike? Like, you got the award, you got the Grammy. What'd you buy? You had to buy something once you made it.
That's right, Rockstar. Let's get to some of the Rockstar stuff.
For any young artist who's, like, coming up, I would always tell them, like, you know, get yourself a house, get yourself, you know, don't spend a bunch of money on, like, jewelry and cars, because that stuff, you know, you buy the car and then it's like, it's not, you know, you're losing money the second you drive it off the lot. But I think some of the more extravagant things for me, it was really, my friends used to make fun of me because I bought a huge TV for my studio, and I didn't watch TV on it. It was just so that when I was working, like, I had this, you know, I could put all the stuff that I was working on this bigger screen, and I could, like, it was kind of, I don't know, it was fun for me. It was exciting for me. I'm making music on this, like, ridiculously big TV. All my friends just made fun of me. Thought it was the stupidest thing, you know, to have that in the studio. But I've always basically I've always put money back into the music, into the gear and the stuff that I use to make it, because I honestly just have a great time making stuff.
When you wanted to do this as a career, how did it go over with the family?
I grew up drawing and painting and making music, like, since I was, like, a little kid. My parents when we went out to dinner, like, they would put a pencil and paper in my hand, and I'd be quiet for hours. So, you know, it was the best babysitter, and the cheapest, by the way. But we so as I grew up, like I went to school. I eventually went to school for illustration, and I was thinking I would get into either graphic design or like maybe work for Disney or something like that. And the band was just the thing that we did on the weekends, and eventually, like the more people started showing up, and we, things started taking off. I realized that it was going to be, it was going to be something. And it was probably at the very end of my last year of college, we got a record deal offer, and my parents just they weren't as worried as some of the other guys in the band's parents. Like I was close enough to graduation that my parents were like, "You're going to graduate, right?" And I said, "Yeah, don't worry about it. It's only a few months off. Like I can graduate and get go in the studio and make this album." But some of the other guys were over a year off, so their parents were really freaking out. My parents were generally pretty cool.
Give us Mount Rushmore of hip hop guys, rappers that you would give us.
My favorite?
I mean, all of the four that you put on Mount Rushmore.
4. People usually ask for 5. 4 feels like it's cutting somebody off.
Okay, there you go. Then we're cutting that rapper off.
Okay.
There's only 4 on Mount Rushmore.
I'm gonna skip the ones that people always. I'm gonna skip over Biggie and Tupac, and I'm gonna go to Nas. I'm gonna go to Eminem, and then my 2 kind of wild cards. I'd say Black Thought, and I'd say Redman.
I don't think you understand, though. You can't. What are you doing? Just passing over Biggie and Tupac? What did you do? I asked you for 4.
It's his Mount Rushmore.
No, but
I'm putting these guys. These are my favorite 4. I'm going to go with that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you cut out
it's
Biggie.
a hard commitment for me.
But
Mike, stay strong here.
But you cut out Tupac and Biggie. What are you doing? I asked you for 4.
And he gave you 4.
Mike, thank you.
I gave you 4. I'm sticking to my 4.
Now, Mike, here's the problem. You didn't give him the 4 that
really
he
mad
wanted.
about the Biggie and Tupac?
He's very upset about it.
I just don't know why you passed over
Biggie.
No, that's it. Its debut solo album, Post Traumatic, is available June 15th. To pre-order the album and for upcoming tour dates, visit MikeShinoda.com. Mike, thank you for being on with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right. I was probably supposed to ask him about his album there. I think that's what that pause was.
Yeah. That, and he can't believe how upset you are about his Mount Rushmore.
I mean, come on.
We're all surprised by it.
You just can't skip over Biggie and Tupac.
Well, you can, and he did. I mean, it's his Mount Rushmore. He didn't ask you the question. You asked him the question.
Mike, did we lose the room, or is it just that everyone's hungover and we got nothing left? We're wheezing to the finish line. I liked that interview. I enjoyed talking to him, but I felt like the room was not interested in that
I kind of made that observation as it was going on. I'm like, guys, you look really disinterested now.
Yeah.
No one's really working. This would be a nice little time to show Dan that you're there. And it was met with indifference. Mm-hmm. They are totally tapped.
I was listening. I'm just tired.
I could do 5 more. I could do 5 more hours.
Poorly. I mean, have you not been listening to the way you've done the last 2?
Crushing it. 59% of the audience feels like Linkin Park was the biggest rock band on the planet at one point.
What?
How about that?
We are wheezing and expired.